So let me ask you something. When a politician signs a brand new civil rights bill into law, does that ink magically erase the bias in someone's heart? Like, does a new workplace policy instantly make a marginalized person feel perfectly safe walking into a boardroom? Probably not, right? Welcome to this explainer. Grab your coffee because today we're breaking down a really fascinating analysis on human dignity, civil rights, and why legislation honestly just isn't enough. Let's get into it. So the big, crucial question we have to ask ourselves is, can a law actually change a person's mind? Spoiler alert, no. No, it can't. Look, legislation offers us this great, absolutely necessary baseline of protection, right? It keeps us from getting fired for our identities, which is huge. But real equality? That requires something so much deeper. We're going to look at three major thinkers today: Francis Fukuyama, Kenji Yoshino, and Kwame Anthony Appiah, who basically argue that relying purely on laws is a fundamental misunderstanding of how human beings actually connect. Okay, let's start with Section 1, The Shared Soul, featuring Francis Fukuyama. So Fukuyama argues that everyone is owed equal treatment not because of group labels, but because of a shared baseline humanity. He actually calls this baseline Factor X. I know, it sounds kind of like a sci-fi movie, but it's actually a really beautiful concept. Think of it as this secular understanding of a human soul. It's that basic humanness we all share when you literally strip away all this surface-level stuff. It's the thing that entitles every single one of us to equal treatment and dignity, period. He highlights this really distinct divide. On one side, you've got the genetic lottery, which is basically the random traits assigned to us at birth that we literally cannot control. And on the other side, we have our shared humanity, right? That inherent dignity, that factor X. Fukuyama's whole point is that our laws and our politics shouldn't be judging or valuing us based on the random chance of that genetic lottery, but on the shared humanity we all possess. Moving right along to Section 2, The Danger of Covering by Kenji Yoshino. Yoshino argues that even when laws step in to protect minority groups, society still exerts this massive, unspoken pressure on us to hide our true selves. Listen to this quote for a second. Covering is a hidden assault on our civil rights, swaddled in the benign language of assimilation. Wow, that is heavy. What he's saying here is that society demands we tone ourselves down just to fit in, and we're told, oh, it's just being professional, or it's just assimilating. But in reality, it's actively holding marginalized people back. Putting on my HR hat for a second here, I see this literally every single day. People cover by changing their natural hair just to fit a really rigid corporate dress code, or they hide a cultural accent, or maybe they avoid identity-related topics at the water cooler, or totally downplay their personal beliefs. It's basically code switching on steroids, and you guys, it is so exhausting. And here's the really hard truth about all this. Laws can't stop the pressure to cover. A Supreme Court ruling can legally protect a group from discrimination, and yes, that is absolutely vital. But a court ruling cannot magically make a workplace culture, or just society in general, feel safe enough for people to actually stop hiding who they are. The law protects the body, right? But it doesn't always protect the authentic self. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, Talk to Me, Don't Debate Me, featuring Kwame Anthony Appiah. So if laws can't fix our minds and ease that intense pressure to cover, Appiah offers a different solution, which is genuine conversation. He roots this in a philosophy called cosmopolitanism. Now, do not let the $10 academic words scare you away. In plain language, it basically just means giving a damn about your neighbor. It's this belief that we actually have obligations to all humans, and that we should take a genuine, curious interest in the practices and beliefs that make their lives meaningful. But how we talk really, really matters. We have a debate on one side, which is all about point scoring, having a proposition versus an opposition. It's that super toxic debate bro culture you see online all the time. But contrast that with conversation. This is a mutual exchange. It's actively seeking to understand. Appiah stresses that if we actually want to build tolerance, talking shouldn't be about scoring points against some opponent. Because honestly, if there are opposing sides, nobody is listening. Nobody. Treating someone's core identity or their deep cultural values like it's just some debate topic on a stage, that proves you have absolutely zero intention of actually understanding them. You just want to win. And you can't win a person's humanity. Let's step back for Section 4, Why Yoshino Hits Hardest, and just a bit of a personal take. As a Black woman in my 20s, as an artist, and honestly just as someone working in HR, These three thinkers are laying out the blueprint for the very real cultural struggles happening right now. But Yoshino's concept of covering, that one strikes such a deep chord. Because the reality is, we are exhausted from hiding. It is incredibly draining to constantly edit who you are, how you speak, or how you express your art just for the comfort of the majority. Policy changes are great. They are necessary, for sure. But an HR handbook update is never going to heal the specific deep fatigue of having to cover your true self every single day. So, what's the actual blueprint moving forward? Let's sum up the core takeaway from Fukuyama, Yoshino, and Appiah in 3 steps. Step 1, acknowledge our shared soul, that factor X. Step 2, we have to stop forcing people to cover and assimilate just to be respected. And step 3, talk to understand, not to win. We just have to start having real, vulnerable conversations. So I want you to look at your own habits for a second. Really think about this. When was the last time you listened to understand, rather than just listening to reply? Because real change doesn't happen in a courtroom. It happens over coffee, in the break room, in the studio, when we finally decide to stop debating and actually start listening. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep having those real conversations, guys.